What is great, good, and real? I hope you are all feeling blessed. I'm coming a little different today to have a raw talk around why you should not care what other people say and how they view you, but you should definitely listen as it is crucial, critical, and vital to your evolution, your growth, the manifestation of the best version of you, which is what we're about on the Do You rules. So think of it like that. How to do you through the views of others. Let's go. Let me start with a real quick story about my dream last night, and I'll preface it with how I believe it manifested itself. From time to time, I'll record a video at night and post it strategically right before I go to bed. It has less to do with what any of the data suggests around it being a best practice, getting more views, etc., but more to do with that I wake up early, and having been waking up early for a few years now, early 4 a.m., sometimes I need a little more incentive to get up. And posting a video at night gives me some excitement. I wake up like, oh, I want to see what the video did, how many views, how many likes, etc. But one of the things I'm most keen on as far as seeing the impact of my content creation, probably like every other creator, is around the comments. The comments are naturally indicative of how people are viewing you and quite literally what they're saying about you. So I post my video, I head to sleep full of excitement, and in the middle of the night I woke up to use the bathroom and I glanced at my phone real quick just to see what the video was doing, just to get a high level gloss. I checked it, opened up the studio app. I saw that there was a couple of hundred views on it. I'm like, cool, that's pretty good. And then I saw the video had 6 comments. And I said, man, immediately I wonder what was said. My instinct was that everything that was posted was something wonderful. I changed somebody's life. This is exactly what they needed to see. Oh my God, perfect timing. And all those things, I say it kind of tongue in cheek, but I do appreciate it because again, that's the impact I'm hoping to have. I want it to manifest itself positively and help you go in a direction that makes sense for you. And so I didn't check the comments to see what they said. I took myself back to sleep because I make a promise. I don't check any of that interaction on the phone that deeply until I'm up awake and past my standard morning routine. So I go back to sleep and I fall into a deep sleep and I start to dream. And in my dream, stay with me, all right? In my dream, I am all of a sudden sitting across from a dude, big dude, muscular dude, almost dressed like a Greek god. Shirt was off, muscles bulging, and he has a snake with him. We're sitting across from each other, and as we're making eye contact, the snake kind of manifests itself out, and all of a sudden I'm in like a tube right across from dude, just big enough for me to fit through, and the snake is now between the two of us. So naturally, instinctively, I need to get away from this snake. So I start crawling up the tube, and as I'm crawling up the tube, I start to feel the natural fear and panic that hits when you feel like you're in danger. And almost simultaneously and quite immediately in the same breath, I realize, what is there to panic about? This is the situation. The tube is the tube, the snake is the snake, the dude is the dude. I don't know that I can really get away from this by trying to run from it. I remember feeling that vividly and thinking that in my dream. It's almost like I'm talking to myself as this is occurring. And so as I come to this realization, as I let go of the panic, as I let go of the stress and the fear, almost not almost, quite literally a female spirit. Don't judge me. All right. I'm just telling you what happened. A female spirit elevated outside of my body. And as she elevated outside of my body, almost a figure, just a silhouette, a light silhouette in light, not light in color, like a light, something shining came up out of my body and started to kind of maneuver with the snake, right? It kind of started to whisper to it, but it wasn't speaking. It was almost like humming a song to it, humming a sound, a tune that was making the snake go from elongated, because as it was chasing me up the tube, it started to stretch out. as the spirit that was emanating from above me, I know this sounds crazy, but just work with me, all right? Is doing this thing, and she's, kind of maneuvering the snake, singing to it, talking to it, singing to it, talking to it. The snake starts to get back into a coil. Now, as it's getting back into a position where it's coiling up, the space I'm in also starts to expand. The tube gets wider and wider and wider and wider. And I start to be able to breathe deeper and deeper and deeper. And the panic that it was already gone, at this point, I'm now in full control. I understand what's happening. I understand how to manage the situation. I understand that if I just continue to do what I'm doing and accept the terms that have been given to me, I'll be good. Now, back to what's occurring as the snake is coiling up. The spirit, which first came out above me, as she's doing her thing, she's also retracting back into me, almost like coming out and then slowly coming back in. And as she's coming in with me, the snake that is coming back into like a little cold sitting position, I guess you could think of it, starts to also fall right into me. And as it's falling into me, the spirit is dissolving and the snake is almost elongating into me, but doing so in a way where it's posturing up, almost extending in a way to be proud. And as it gets up into my throat area, which I at that point I remember thinking I'm about to choke, I wake up. You probably expected that, right? So what does this all mean? What does this all mean? I think a lot of things. I think some of it is that I'm batshit crazy, and these spiritual practices. The video I posted was about Christ consciousness. I believe deeply in Christ consciousness. I believe deeply in spirit. I believe deeply in enlightenment and that next level and everything that comes with that level of spirituality. So naturally, one would think that had an influence on my dream state, my subconscious state. Cool, that makes sense. So I go do my thing. I wake up, I pray, I meditate. And usually after I pray and I meditate, I hydrate myself. I go drink some water. And when I'm drinking my water, that's when I open my phone. That's when I remember that I had 6 comments. And that's when I was again reinvigorated, although I'm already hyped, to look at what happened. And I was really looking forward to seeing some comments that were powerful in a way that I wanted it to be powerful. And wouldn't you know that every one of those comments, now it's only 6. I don't want to make it seem like it's a gazillion, but there's 6. And for me, that's substantial. Okay. These 6 comments, none of them, at least on the surface by language and definition, were positive. Now remember, if I said it, or I don't remember if I did say it, I posted the video on Christ consciousness. That's a pretty triggering topic because it goes against some standard views of faith for people. And that's tricky, right? I get that that's something you have to navigate. So none of these comments were positive, and all of them were along the lines of false teacher, false prophet, hearsay. Somebody dropped a line from Corinthians that basically says, if anyone gives you something different than what you were given, think about that. If someone provides you teachings other than the teachings you were, and I'm paraphrasing, other than the teachings you were given, it's essentially hearsay and that person is cursed. Crazy that I should align my views in one way and one way only. And if they don't, then I'm wrong. So why does this, from a raw talk perspective and doing you, what does this mean about other people and what they think, say, and how they view you? I wrote this down. If you are consumed and inundated with other people's views of you and what other people are saying of you, you're creating a view of yourself based on how other people view you. Pretty logical, right? Now, here's the difficulty. Other people are basing their view of you on how they view things for themselves. Does that make sense? Not in the logic or not in the words, but in the logic. However, let me continue. Other people are basing their view of you on how they view things for themselves, opining for you as themselves, as opposed to seeing themselves in you as part of your view and leveraging their wisdom to best support you. And basically, what that means, and I'll get into some detail, is none of that shit has anything to do with you, right? The difficulty we have when formulating opinions, in my experience, particularly when folks are providing feedback, and I hate to think of it as just because someone doesn't agree with you doesn't make them wrong. It's not a right and wrong thing. But listen to what I'm saying with what I just said. If you get the sense, which most people do, because most people are the own center of their worlds. Essentially, like one of my bosses and mentors told me, it's as if you're always on stage. So if you're always on stage, you're always at your own center and the light is only shining on you. So if you're taking other people's opinions of you while they're on stage as themselves with the light shining on them, that's their view of you on how they view things for themselves. That has nothing to do with you because they don't have any context, any true context into who you are, what you are feeling, and how you've reached the point that you've reached, regardless of whatever the point is that you reached. For example, in my video, my Christ consciousness. No one really understands how I've reached the point of wanting to follow, listen, indulge, and practice the potentiality of Christ consciousness, because their view is how they view themselves, and they might be totally ignorant to it and not have a clue what it means. They might think it's hearsay because it goes against their faith, and their faith is their faith, or they just may not like you, neither of which is any good. Point being, you're putting emphasis on how you are feeling and how you're viewing you based on how someone is viewing it for you. That is unhealthy. That'll lead to you breaking down your own principles, your own values, and your own belief system and structure in order to prioritize someone else's. Essentially, you're living as you based on them. No bueno. As I said, opining for you as themselves. That's not healthy in any relationship. Now, before I get into the healthier part, you should, however, listen, right? You should listen because there is some validity in that view, and that you can get a general sense of what people are thinking and feeling. And you want to know that. You want to know how, not to change you, but to understand the impact you're having. So in my relationships, in this instance, it's content creation, but it could be with my significant other. It could be with my children, best friend, my boss, a stranger. When you put yourself and your opinion out there and you watch how people respond to you unemotionally, kind of like I did when I was crawling up with a snake, right? Remove the panic, remove the emotion, remove the feeling, just get to the logic. Then you can understand, okay, when I behave in this way, I can expect this kind of reaction. You can't be that selfish. You can't only, I mean, you could, I guess. But if you're looking to make an impact in a certain direction, then you have to understand that what you're doing, or what you have to understand what you're doing and how it's being received. It could mean you're on the right path. It could mean you need a different audience and you just need to be patient, or you could be altogether wrong and have to pivot. That's for you to assess and process and leverage. That's a way to measure, right? So that's that. Now, what is truly healthy in the relationships you should really look to foster and hold close to you and leverage for your growth is when someone has the power to see themselves in you, right? See themselves in you as part of your view, and then leverage their own wisdom and experiences to best support you. So I think of it like this. If I'm going to respond to someone and give them my view of what I believe they should do or what I think, It's as if I'm looking in the mirror, but the reflection I see is not mine, it's theirs. Almost like the soul or the spirit that came out of me and came back into me. I'm trying to dive into you to see what it is you're seeing. How can I see what you're seeing? And if I can get an idea of what you're seeing, now I can use my own experiences and wisdom to give you advice based on what I know, but not because of what I would do, but because of what I think you should do based on what I know, based on how I'm seeing it from where you're seeing it. I'm seeing it as you for you versus as me for you. And ultimately, that I believe is what will create healthy relationships. And keeping it raw, if you align with that and you can understand that, then any relationship that doesn't align with that, you should dismiss. Do I think you should let it go entirely? I think you be the judge. I think you still need people around you who are contradictory to you to again give you an opportunity to see what other people are thinking and see different vantage points. But really, if it doesn't serve you, then let it go. And those that do serve you, that leverage that real tight bond, that almost that spiritual relatability, you wanna tighten those, and you wanna feed and grow those things. That way you can continue to expand your view and make it make sense. So really, I think the main takeaways are everybody is the center of their own worlds, man. Everybody is hyper focused on themselves and what it looks like to themselves and what it does to their belief system and what it might do to shake and disrupt their own view and that and I guess it's fear that level of potentiality around disruption around what someone believes of themselves possibly being false. Be empathetic. That hurts. And naturally, I don't want to say anything that might hurt someone, but also I'm gonna say what I feel. And if you're hurt in the process, then I've learned that it says more about you than it does me. And I also learned that I can't necessarily take everyone's feelings about what they're feeling for anything more than their feelings, because there is and has to be some level of logic and understanding around intention. If what I'm intending to do makes the most sense for me at my core, at my soul, at my spirit level, then I'm good. Ultimately, it's not the snake bite that kills you. It is the venom. It is the venom that is released when it pierces your skin, infiltrates your veins, permeates throughout your entire body, mind, spirit, and soul, breaks you down and straight deteriorates you. And the more you allow anyone to infiltrate your thoughts with their thoughts, and now you are creating a life for yourself predicated on their thoughts for your thoughts, well, then that's not really your life. And that's not what we about on the Do You rules. So always do you. Change your mind, change your life. I am who I say I am. Stay rich.